Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. A few things going on down on the Belknap campus lately, but for the most part, things down there have pretty much ended up for the season. There'll be, of course, a lot of things going on during the summer as far as, well, now we have the portal and many more things to look at, but right now it's kind of what we call the dead period in Louisville athletics for us, where we don't have a whole lot of things popping up to talk about, but we're still going to be able to manage to get a show up for you each week, I think. I'm still kind of debating back and forth whether I want to bring back the Cardinal Couple quiz. Right now, I'm leaning negatively toward it. I don't think I'm going to do it, but we'll have to wait and see down the road. But I got a strong crew of four in here today. Daryl was at a birthday breakfast. So happy birthday breakfast to you, Daryl. I don't know if it's actually your birthday or not, but her
Today
parents.
is her official birthday.
It is officially today. Okay,
So
well,
she's turning something years old.
yep. That's very observant, Jared. She's turning something years old. I like that. I might want to use that down the road. But anyway, happy birthday to Daryl. Certainly miss her on here, but we know that getting a chance to get together with family and friends and go out and dine and do stuff like that is very fun and important as well. So have a good one on it. But we got Case Jeff and we got Jared in the house, as you just heard there, as well as myself, Paulie here. So let's kind of, as we like to do, catch up with the guys a little bit here this morning, see how their week's been going for them and stuff. And since you kind of got us started there, Jared, with that, what's been going on with you, man?
Really, just the final couple of UofL games for me to photograph. I wrapped it up with a couple baseball games. They needed a sweep over Notre Dame this weekend, and they rightfully did so, which was great for them. So my final total UofL game count for the 2023 to 2024 school year is 119 games. Haven't looked back at previous years to see where that ranks, but I'm sure it's probably
One
about
of the
average
higher
or so.
ones. Yeah, I
That
think.
that intrigues me. How do you track all these?
Each one I shoot, I make a note of. I've got a notes app on my phone, and I just mark, okay, this day I shot this sport and they played so and so.
Interesting. Uh, any memorable ones out of them?
Uh, I'd have to go back and probably reflect some, but softball had a couple big time wins over ranked opponents. That lacrosse win over Clemson is certainly up there. I really enjoy shooting football. That goes up there. Field hockey had the shootout win over Duke back in the fall. Actually, I think that's one I went back and forth between field hockey, left field hockey to go to volleyball. Volleyball
Yeah.
finished. Field hockey was still
Mhm.
playing. I'm like, well, let's go back over there, and got the win on the shootout. So there's definitely some memorable ones in the mix there, especially volleyball. Big time wins again this past season, especially when you beat your rival Kentucky.
Yeah, I remember being up in the press box for that field hockey one and texting you and saying, "You better get back over here, bud. We're headed to a shootout." He said, "Okay, well, there's not much happening in volleyball. I'm on my way." So running the campus as he was. So summer months, we slow you down a little bit as far as photography goes, Jared. Some of the things that you'll be doing to kind of keep yourself going, or is it just kind of a period for you to kind of decompress and say, "All right, I'm taking it easy for a couple months."
I'll slow down a lot. I'll probably try and do that TBT that U of L's men's alumni group got together last year and played in.
Mhm.
I missed a lot of that because of the honeymoon. This year, I think I'm going to do that. I've got some connections with both Racing Louisville and Louisville City, so I may try and sneak out a couple matches here and there just to uh, keep my fingers fresh and keep the dust from piling up on the camera.
Keep the fingers fresh. I like that. Also in the house with us, Case Hoskins. Case, which is the author of today's article, Cardinal Couple. Make sure and drop by and take a look at that and read that. If you would, you should actually read Cardinal Couple every day. Most doctors recommend 3 times a day, but we'll be okay with one. Just read us once a day. And Case has a great article on there today. But actually, and very apropos that you were talking about Nicole Peroni to start it out. We're going to try and get down to campus later on this afternoon, and talk with her. So, what's going on, man?
Yeah, not a lot. It's been. I think I remarked on Wednesday to Lindsay that it was the fastest, slowest week, or vice versa. It was one of those two. It was every day was incredibly fast and nothing was accomplished. Uh, but it was only Wednesday at the time. It felt like a nightmare. So it was a weird week. Had some contract work done earlier in the week. We are supposed to have all the contracting work done by the end of the week, but that didn't happen because the tree people didn't come out. So that's unfortunate. But look forward to next week when get some trees down, get a fence back up, and be done with contractors for a while. Anyway, hopefully.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to that kind of thing, you kind of work on the contractor schedule and not what you have planned, and that can be kind of inconvenient at times. I found out, but such is the way life goes like that. Also in the house with us, Jeff McAdams. Jeff was having some technical issues of his own, from what I understand, earlier this morning, but he's back with us now and able to hear and talk. Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, hopefully it stays up and running. We had our power meter replaced. There, Genie's putting in these new smart meters, and we had ours replaced this morning about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes ago maybe. And so it drops power to the house while they're replacing it. It's only about 30 seconds. It's a really quick swap out, but yeah, it means all network connectivity went down and everything has to be reestablished, and it's just always a chance of things being flaky for a little bit after that. So.
Unfortunately, that can happen sometimes. I've had it happen to me over power outages and stuff, like in the middle of watching an event that the cards have been playing, and all of a sudden you're like, "Dad, got it! Wait a second, she was about to catch that ground ball. What happened?"
Yeah.
Back at it again. So good to hear anything interesting going on in your life.
I'm sorry. I lost that for a second.
Oh, I was going to say, we lost him again already just after talking. Oh my gosh, no. What else is going on interesting in your life this week? Anything major?
Gosh. Last week for me until I leave Friday for a conference in Amsterdam. So I will not be on the show next week as a result of that. But yeah, looking forward to that. Gotta 4 days of work before I do that. But that'll be fun when that time comes.
Amsterdam for a conference. That
So,
sounds
yeah.
Sounds like we
almost
may be
ominous.
out on a show next week.
Oh, you could be gone too.
Why?
I
Yeah.
will join the crew of being unavailable next week.
So there you go. We're already making bold strokes towards saying no show next week here. If we're going to have 2/3 of the crew not present and me not knowing how to do anything but sign on and then talk, we could be in trouble here. But we'll
You
we'll
got
make
enough
enough.
time to teach Daryl the basics.
Yeah, so
She's probably out too.
she's probably got a golf match lined up or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Polly,
Pat's in town
Polly,
next
what you do, Polly, is you just sign on, you just talk to yourself for an hour, and then we'll that'll be it. You'll have the show. It won't be recorded. It won't be streamed, and then Cardinal couple.
And in my case, I could pre-record that because there's
Yeah.
many times late at night I'm sitting here talking to myself, staring at the screen, going, "What the hell is he trying to say here? Or what does this mean?" But anyway, yeah, I could do a series of those. But certainly have some fun with that indeed. As for myself, I had an interesting, I won't call it a great week, but it was a good week. I had a visit with my cardiologist the other day, and excuse me just a second while I cough here, and then we'll get back. Okay, got that out of the way, thank goodness. Because you got the cough, but you don't want to cough when you're in the middle of talking situation.
Yeah.
That's where I was. But I went down to see a cardiologist. This is my old cardiologist, which is my new cardiologist again. And if that sounds juxtapositioning and kind of crazy, it's just sort of my original cardiologist I had. And then when I switched everything down to UofL, I kind of let this cardiologist slip by the side. I got so frustrated with UofL's cardiology department that I went back to my old cardiologist at Baptist East and got some things straightened out. The good thing is things are going really good. I don't have to go back for another 6 months. They're very happy with my heart, and so I'm happy about that. But I gotta tell you, boy, these cardiologists have got a racket. There must have been, I swear to you, 60 people in this lobby, and I was just like, "What time is my appointment?" Amazingly, they got me in on time though, and got me out on time. But with 60 people sitting in there, boy, I mean, that's just weird scheduling, guys. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Makes no sense to me whatsoever how you could bring that many people in. But in all events, good to go. Unfortunately, gang, I'm going to be around for at least another 6 months because I haven't paid my cardiologist bill yet, and they refuse to let me die until it has been cleared. So, which is the old joke. The doctor gave me 5 months to live. I told him I couldn't pay my bill, and then he gave me another 5 months. But so, as far as that goes, we got the scheduling and Twitter today. Case is going to be a very, very slow day for you on this, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine it might be. We look at the calendar here. Um, Looking ahead to today, actually, the events will have already wrapped up. I mentioned in the article today, rowing, second day of the ACC championships, all wrapped up this morning. And then women's tennis is still on the calendar, but there's nothing happening. Men's tennis listed for the 21st. That's a 1 day event listing, so there probably is something happening there, but it's just TBD in Stillwater, Oklahoma, so I can't tell you what it is. Next week, though, starting on Wednesday, continuing through Saturday, the NCAA East regionals for track and field, those are over in Lexington, and Louisville is sending 18 members of the team that will compete in, as far as I'm aware, at least 19 events, because we know that Jaden Ulrich will be competing in at least two. So that's it. That's all that's on the calendar. I believe ACC baseball tournament will get underway near the beginning of the week. I think on Tuesday, but that is not on the calendar for some reason. So
Seeding still has to be decided with games today and tomorrow, so we don't know when UofL will play for baseball.
yeah, but that's just so inconsistent with how they usually do the tournaments, where they just put all of them on the calendar, and then oh well,
I think it's sport by sport. The
whoever decides to
yeah, the
put it that way.
SID I think for each sport will put those on there or not, because they also they didn't used to put like spring play for volleyball, and those events were on the calendar. Stuff like that. It's changes over time and
Yeah.
the
At
whims of
least,
the people involved.
at least sports like softball, field hockey, lacrosse rotate to each school every year on who gets to host. When it's baseball, it's Charlotte, Durham, Charlotte, Durham, Charlotte, Durham,
Yeah.
which is very
Didn't we
unfair.
host not that long ago at Slugger?
It was funky when North Carolina was going through those
Right. Yeah,
certain
they took it
laws.
away. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, so that's it for the schedule. It's pretty thin. Next weekend, Memorial Day weekend. So that'll be, um, like we said, thin crowd around here. As for the social accounts, I tweet is at best case scenario. Polly is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams. Jared's at Mr. Anderson Jared, and Daryl is at Daryl Faust 4. So that gets you to him. And like you said, Polly, pretty quick for me on that.
Yeah, not a whole lot there to review right now, and uh, also I guess kind of interesting and sad in the fact too that we might normally even be looking at a little bit of how's softball doing in this, in the postseason. Well, unfortunately, not this year. Maybe even we were kind of hoping that lacrosse would be one that would have gotten an at-large bid, but nope, didn't happen for them either. But still, certainly, we've had some fun interviews and some fun ones coming up this week. Jared and I have getting a chance to talk a little bit with two very, very good players and two very, very good programs with coaches. In fact, we got to talk with Daisy Hess earlier this week, shortstop extraordinaire for the Louisville women's softball team, and uh, I think one of the better players that has been on the campus in a long time for the Cards. Certainly, people would say, "Well, you're forgetting Megan Hensley and Marissa Becker and players like that." But Daisy came in here, and Jared, I think you'll agree with me here, got a lot done in 2 years with us.
Yeah, it makes you think, what could she have accomplished if she got to do a full 5 years at Louisville? But just the 2 years that she was here, a staple there at shortstop for us. Batting average was consistently over 330. On base percentage was consistently over 350. So just a reliable player all around to have.
It was a couple of firsts for me. It was the first time that I'd ever interviewed anybody from Ackworth, Georgia. And the question, of course, remains to most of you out there, well, where is Ackworth, Georgia at? And it's actually about 30 miles north of Atlanta, a suburb. And she said it's a very nice kind of small town with a lot of lakes around it and a lot of tree-lined streets and stuff like that. So it sounds like a very fun and peaceful place to maybe go visit for an afternoon, doesn't it now? And certainly, uh, she was a very, very good interview to do, a very fun interview to do. And I think one of the main things that we found out about her is that she is going to major in public health. That raised some questions for me because I had never interviewed anybody who has majored in public health before. I think I don't know if I got the full answer I wanted or not, Jared, but it sounds like certainly there was nursing school in their plans there somewhere.
You've got a lot of options with public health. You could go into nursing, some type of immediate care, ER. You could kind of do your own practice. You could go in towards some type of sports health as well if you wanted to, in terms of working with student athletes or professional players, whether they're injured, ill, or just some type of rehab.
And this is actually the second Cardinal couple kind of related interview that we've done with her, and maybe third if you count post games. But Case had the opportunity to talk to her. And who was with you, goalkeeper Case, when you did the spring sports media day?
Daisy Hess was with Gabby Holloway was the other softball
Oh,
representative.
okay. Yeah, I was thinking different sport. I'm sorry.
But yeah, she was excited to stay for her second season. Didn't even really talk about bringing Bailey Richardson in. It wasn't. They talked about transfers a bit, but she wasn't focused on that reunion as part of her, as a major piece of her excitement. She was looking forward to developing here at UofL and building on what she felt was a very strong first season with the Cards last year, and um, filling the leadership role that was thrust on her a bit last year, and she was more up to the task for this season. Um, being a member of the program, having some more of that experience, and really looked forward to the camaraderie and bringing the team along. So it was good to see her still have a successful season. Unfortunate for the team to not build on the successes that they had last year, but yeah, she's a very exciting player to watch, and was a lot of fun. It would have been nice to have had her from the very beginning, but enjoyed having her on the team for the 2 years that we did.
And she was really coming around too at the end of her playing time and career. They had moved her up to the leadoff spot in the batting lineup, consistently getting on base and giving the Cards lots of opportunities to get runs across the plate. And of course, the Cards not always taking advantage of that, but at least she was out there and and on the pass and saying, "Hey, I'm here. Get me home. We'll get a run here, right?" Uh, kind of looking back, Jared, you had the chance to watch a lot of the games that she was in her time here and stuff. It just kind of capsulized what kind of player that you think she was for the program and what she did for the program.
Just for Daisy still, right?
Yeah.
I thought she's just a great leader. As she mentioned in our discussion with her the other day that we ran, she was pretty much immediately named and voted the team captain by the team, and she was still new to campus. So it's not only her actions on the field that we saw, but it's everything behind the scenes, whether it's practices, workouts, just connecting with the team and making sure everybody is doing well from both a mental and physical standpoint. It's establishing that relationship and being a liaison between the coaching staff and the rest of the players, and figuring things out if there were ever any hiccups. So she's just an all around great player, a phenomenal athlete. I do hope that she'll be able to play professionally somewhere because I do think she has the skill set and talent to do so.
Certainly, if not that, hopefully we can keep her around the Louisville area doing something. I don't know if the campus or the program will look at her as possibly doing something in a graduate assistant role or anything like that. Too early to say on that, probably. I know that she was excited about getting an apartment here so that she'll be here maybe for the rest of the summer and maybe longer. Uh, but a young lady whose path is just beginning for her as she goes out into the world after winning a lot of hearts here at Louisville for her shortstop play. And Jeff, when you get a player like this in the program, and you and I can go back a little further and look at some of the ones that we had in years prior to Holly April, but somebody like Daisy just comes in and kind of puts a name and her own brand on the program, doesn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. She certainly has her own style and approach to things that I think really kind of put. I think you saw the team adopt some of that. We've talked in the past, and I'll focus on our base running. In that, in the past, this team has been a good base running team with a lot of people that can steal bases. Daisy kind of ratcheted that up to 11, right, and really kind of put that imprint and style on the play this year. I mean, we laughed about it some, oh, Daisy got on first. Okay, well, 2 pitches later, she's on second, but I look at that in style of play, and then, yeah, that leadership that you've been talking about, she put that imprint on there and kind of became that leader, at least for, a couple of years. I think there's a succession of players that take on that role, but she came in with a lot of hype, and I think mostly lived up to it.
They certainly did, and going to miss her, but we're certainly glad to have her here in the time she was here. Also mentioned Nicole Peroni of Louisville lacrosse fame, a midfielder extraordinaire. I think ended up being the second leading point total and scorer on the team in this past season, behind Coco Nakazawa. But, a lady who came in and just did some wonderful things for Louisville lacrosse, Jared. And I think we found out about her that her so one of the things that we really liked about her during her career, she was just so hard nosed and just so a tough player out there. I mean, somebody you really, if you needed somebody to get something done for you, you went straight to her.
Yeah, everybody needs to have some type of blue collar player on their team, and that's exactly what she was. She wasn't afraid to take a hit. She wasn't afraid to give a hit. She knew how to score when the team needed it most. Just became a great leader, and I think she's one of those players that spent more time leading by example versus a vocal style of a leader.
Well, hopefully she'll tone that down a little bit today in our interview with her this afternoon.
You don't want to take her one-on-one later?
No, I don't think that we're going to have any draws. I think
we'll put you in a full goalkeeper uniform and see if you can stop her free position shot.
I think it need to be out there in a full football uniform with pads and a helmet, but and probably
Well, that's
still
not
not
far
turn it
away.
too well. Yeah, and 80 yards away from her. See if you can make it now. Yeah. But certainly we're looking forward to that, and will be some fun with her. Uh, but looking at these two sports, and we'll kind of wind up maybe a little bit about talking about them currently. Is just that we didn't quite get the results that we wanted out of them coming into the end of the season and past, and uh, I don't think it reflects badly on either coach, but it's kind of taken around the table. Is there maybe the seat getting warm on either one of these programs, Case?
Probably. If you're gonna pick one, I would say that it would be softball. I think that we've talked a lot about Scott Teeter's redevelopment of this program over the time that he's been here, and how he really inherited a bit of a mess, to put it kindly, um, with everything that happened with the lacrosse program. Um, so, is it the fastest rebuild that we've ever seen? No, but I think that we've seen incremental improvement each season, and that's what we are looking for. I think with a sport like lacrosse, a lot of the what you would consider non-revenue sports, you've got some patience. You want to see that incremental improvement, and as long as you're on the uphill climb, then you feel pretty good about it. I think conversely, softball was not in a bad position when we made a coaching change, and we've not seen kind of overall improvement through the years. And last year we talked about making it to the NCAA tournament and how that was a good result, despite the fact that what happened in the regional was not what we were going for. Um, but we expected at least making it to the tournament again this season. And then to miss the ACC tournament completely was definitely not what everyone expected. So softball has been a bit more of a roller coaster, and that's not really what we're looking for with that sport. I think that Louisville has had, like we've talked about, a lot of really good players and a lot of kind of traditional excitement around the program. And while there's been some excitement, some pop um, at the plate, and then um, some very exciting players in the circle this year and last year, the results at the end of the season haven't been what I think everyone has expected at this point in April's tenure.
Yeah, and Jared, to maybe expand on it and take that a little bit further, we had hoped that Holly would come in and maybe take the program from where it was and take it to even higher heights than it was at. She had done some incredible things in Pittsburgh her last couple of years up there, but I can't say that she's got that on her resume yet, that she's been able to do that.
No, you've only got two NCAA tournament appearances in her 6 years here. Uh, I think her first season was when we played Northwestern about 50 times that year and lost to them in the regional. And then last season, the regional up in Indiana, and fell just short to them in a couple of different games. But yeah, you in softball, when you have 64 teams make the tournament, and you've got the entirety of the SEC, all 13 teams, or all 15 if you want to go ahead and just include Texas and Oklahoma making the tournament. Well, the ACC is not exactly a difficult conference. 5 teams made the tournament. I thought UofL had plenty of opportunities to get there. A lot of those midweek games where you're losing to your mid majors is what kills you. And then having those slip ups in the seventh inning or extra innings and losing on walk offs or late in games really, really hurt.
I'll be the one to say it. Louisville softball shouldn't lose to anybody in this state except for Kentucky. And I think that should be a fight every year. And that was not how it went this year. Just throwing that out.
No.
And also, one of the things I think you need to look at as well is that this year's team, I hate to call them mediocre, but as average as they were, it's also taken a pretty big hit and graduated, and people that have lost their and are done with their eligibility. Uh, That isn't something that's bright and opening up the window and looking at the sunshine type of material, is it, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I kind of gotta agree that this is it's been a struggle with this, and I'm not. I started out this season thinking that Teeter maybe his seat may be getting warm, and I think it's cooled slightly, and that April was in a pretty good spot, and now I kind of feel like it's pretty warm. So the juxtaposition between those two situations is interesting. I'm kind of with the other two guys here that we have it. We can't say. I mean, much as we always all want to, we can't say that the progress is there that we're looking for. So uh, I hate saying that, but that's kind of my assessment of where it is now.
And unfortunately, the Cards will be at a spot where they do have to replace some very, very key players in that softball lineup. Obviously, starting with Hess, who basically came in and said, "I'll be your shortstop. Don't worry about anything else," and did the job well for 2 years. She was the shortstop. Uh, and now you've got this glaring gap out there between third base and second base. And Jared, just taking a look at this, there's a lot of holes to fill in this boat. And when you talk about softball, aren't there?
You're losing pretty much 7 starters. Uh, if I remember correctly, you're losing. Going to go down the list here. Left field is Paige Garrity, who's graduated. Right field is Vanessa Miller, who's graduated. She's going to go be a graduate assistant at Austin P. Third base was Bailey Richardson. She's graduated. Shortstop Daisy Hess has graduated. First base was Riley Frizzell. She's graduated and going to go be a graduate assistant at Tennessee. Kylie Goff played catcher. And then in the circle, you had Gabby Holloway, and then your pinch runner that recorded her first hit of the season. The final game of the season was Mia Forsyth. So I mean, you're losing 7 players who played pretty much every single game, and then your top pinch runner that would came in if you had a slower runner on base. So it's a lot of spots to fill.
Indeed, it is when you take a look at it. Wow. So we'll watch with interest to see how that goes and to closely, I think, kind of scrutinize some of the players that Holly brings in, either via freshman or the portal, and hopefully that she can get. You want to see players as good as what we had this year. I'm going to take it one step further. I think I want a little better quality. Let's get some girls in there that have got a lot of weight behind their name as far as state titles and things like that, and things that they've accomplished in high school, or maybe even at other schools. And so,
I think when you look at that too, it's not just about what they've accomplished in high school because Louisville got one of the best recruits that was out there as far as high school accomplishments go with Brooke Gray, and then just the adjustment to college so far never came along. And whether that is coaching or the state of Kentucky softball, like state of Kentucky high school softball quality, it's hard to say, but you need that improvement from freshmen. You need players that were brought in to come along more than they did this season, in addition to those new additions. And so that'll be something to look out for sure.
certainly hope that can happen for the Cards as they. Well, it's not the SEC. It's not the toughest league in D1, but it's certainly a very competitive league. The ACC is, and we need to see if we can inch our way up that ladder a little bit and get to where we can be in a tournament and maybe even move on to the big dance. A lot of work cut out for Holly and her crew down there. Let's hope they have the best of it. As far as moving on out a little bit, is there anything else you guys want to cover about lacrosse or anything right now before we kind of move on a little bit? Anybody got anything they want to throw out there?
All you, Paul.
It's gone around the block once, and it's down the street and gone. Okay, fine. Uh, just hope the Teeter can maybe win 2 games in the ACC tournament next year. How would that be? They won their first one this year. Let's hope that they can get 2 next year, maybe. Would that
Yeah,
be
that's
something?
progress. I mean, that's the type of progress you want to see in these what we call the non-revenue sports, right? You don't have to knock it out of the park, but show progress.
And that's part of it. And they are getting good crowds out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a fact that we're, you've got bored students sitting there for 50 minutes until their next class. They're getting great turnouts, despite some very, very strange scheduling times for games were very non-conducive to getting a crowd out there. I think I was playing like, what was it, noon on a Wednesday and stuff like that, and people are at work. One more thing I'll throw out, I guess, about lacrosse before we move out of it and on again. The debacle, games at Cardinal Stadium or no? Your thoughts on that? Jared, what do you think? Do they need to go back to the football field and play in front of 55,000 empty seats?
I like having one game there. I get that TV really runs the show, and if TV says, "Hey, you're playing a night game," well, then you've got to move it to the stadium automatically. I think it's cool to have at least one there. Might be a good time to bring out some recruits if you want, just to say, "Hey, we could play in our football stadium every once in a while." I know a lot of the players do like it on occasion. It's just a different mindset. You get to run out of the tunnel for intros. You've kind of got some of the lighting effects at football that way, but it's certainly not somewhere you want to play every single game because you see teams like Syracuse will play on their football field and you can look around and then there's no one in the seats. So it's a really bad eyesore in terms of that.
Yeah, I don't think it adds a glamour to the program at all to be in front of 55,000 empty seats. But maybe I'm wrong, Case. Am I totally wrong on that? We're out there playing in a major facility.
Well, I just wonder what is the cost to the university to host a lacrosse game there, as far as staffing that stadium, getting everything up and running in that stadium, as opposed to just properly lighting Louisville Lacrosse Stadium. I don't think that it does anything for our players to play there. I mean, it's not like, we love Cardinal Stadium, but it's not like it's some historic venue that players are going to be like, oh, wow, I got to play in, like Michigan's Big House or the Horseshoe at Ohio State or whatever name, insert other historical college football stadium that someone might want to play at in lacrosse to be like, oh, that's so cool. It's just, oh, our lacrosse facilities are not sufficient to where we have to move just to have a game at a different time of day. Like, I don't think that it's really that beneficial from that perspective. And it's off-putting to the players to be playing at home but not in the facility that they are comfortable with. It's different for volleyball. Volleyball, when they play in the Yum Center, they're filling out the bottom bowl and opening curtains on the second deck. That's not happening for lacrosse at football, and it's not going to happen for lacrosse at football, which is not to say anything about our lacrosse team. It's just, that's not the draw that's there. And volleyball plays enough games at the Yum Center that it is a reasonable second home stadium for them.
Yeah, 6 this coming year.
6 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not far removed from that being the home stadium for matches. So,
Right.
It's a very different.
And
very
I think
different
there's a
situation.
combination there, both the combination of the success that volleyball has had at UofL, right? Plus just the general nature of the sport and as an up and coming and very vibrant, very getting a lot of viewership and attraction to the sport in general, I think adds to that. So I don't want to totally put it on just the success of the program, but that is one element of it. But I think there's also just kind of a nice little synergy there between the two aspects.
Well, there's that, and then you also look at, when you look at the championships, the Final Four is being played in an arena like that.
It is being played in that arena this coming
this year.
year. In fact,
Yeah. So, but that
it'll be sold out.
there's some precedent there that you look at. Oh, it makes sense to play a game in this arena because we want to get familiar with this type of environment for later runs in the NCAA tournament. Lacrosse is not being played in football stadiums.
Yeah.
It, like purposely.
There's some
for their tournament, right?
Yeah.
And so there's not really any good reason to be having games there. It just doesn't make sense.
You take a look at the two sports that are very similar in nature, but not quite the same, and obviously with different rules and approaches, are field hockey and lacrosse. Both of them, obviously, sticks that are done with sticks in the sports, right? You have to have a stick in order to advance the ball. Whether it's got a net on the end of it or not, well, it just depends on the sport. But we have a very, very beautiful, if maybe slightly aged, but a very, very nice and functional and nationwide renowned field hockey stadium sitting right on the corner of our campus down there.
Get rid of that McDonald's and you could put seating on both sides of it.
I do want to mention that next year the women's lacrosse Final Four is held at the Patriot Stadium at Gillette Stadium. This year it's held at, I think, Wake Forest's soccer stadium. But next year they're playing at the Patriot Stadium, so they kind of rotate between.
It is a thing that does happen, yeah.
Right, some smaller college stadiums that are built for soccer and lacrosse, and then out of nowhere they're like, let's play at a NFL stadium built for 70,000 fans.
Probably because there's no Boston school that has facilities capable of hosting an event like that.
I'm sure that's what it is, because you do have to have at least so many seating capacity, which our lacrosse stadium would not have the capacity to host a Final Four. So if they held it here, don't know if Lynn Stadium on campus would qualify. If not, they'd have to do it at the football stadium.
Or at Lynn Family would be a good.
Right. I don't know in terms of...
They're not going to let them play on that grass.
Right. I think it's the materials what you worry about.
Yeah. It's an interesting position there on that. So, yeah, we'd like to see night games at a Louisville Lacrosse Stadium over there. Will it happen? I don't know if they're going to delve into the budget, which is already stretched as it is, and do the lighting increases, but I certainly think it should be done.
You're looking at least $25,000 to upgrade the lighting to what it needs to be.
But in the scheme of things, that's not that much money.
Yeah.
For an athletic program, it really isn't. I mean, they shin guards for the football team might run that much. I don't know. I mean, think about it. $25,000 is not a lot of money.
Well, when you're paying all your money out for Chris Mack, Kenny Payne, Bobby Petrino, etc., you don't exactly have much money in the overall budget.
And there is the other side of the coin. Yeah, the sins of our major sports are coming.
That's exactly what it is.
So the university got approved budget for $25 million to expand the lacrosse and basketball practice facility, $25 million to renovate Cardinal Stadium, $20 million to expand Patterson Stadium, $20 million to construct an indoor facility.
That never happened.
Well, these are all just expansion. These are other funds is the source of the money. So they're not actually getting any from the state, but they're approved to do these projects if they find the money. But the reason I'm saying this is just to get the point across that like $25,000 is
a drop in the bucket.
It's nothing.
Yeah. Nothing.
It's $10 million to replace the seats at Cardinal Stadium. Like, come on.
And I was fine with my pink sheet. I was happy with it. I didn't need bright red. I was comfortable in it. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, at least that's a chairback seat. That's all.
At least they were. Yeah, they were, and it was nice to have. After sitting in the cold, damp metal bleachers at the old Cardinal football stadium. Oof, goodness gracious!
Anymore?
Yeah, which is now paved over, and you can park your car right where I used to sit. You sure can. But let's hope that they can at least get some lighting over there. And that's all I'm asking for. And if I ever had the chance to do a sit down with Josh Hyde, and maybe we'll do that someday, Jared. We'll go in there and do an interview with him. Well, I'm gonna throw that question right in his lap and see what he does with it. Well, why can't we get some lights out there, lacrosse? Come on, Josh. 25,000. And he may turn around and throw me out of his office, and that would be fun too. Just make sure and get it on phone, Jared. Make sure and get it on phone. Other things going on, though, we've got some basketball news that we need to talk about a little bit. The Cards have got some very, very stellar recruits coming on board here. Got a very nice article in our Tuesday Cardinal Couple about that a little bit. Jeff Walls is just kind of, he's back to his old magic. There was a couple years there where he didn't bring in a lot of for freshmen. But boy, you take a look at this year's class, Jared. This is one incredible class that he's got lined up here.
Yeah, I think he's sick and tired of trying to, bend his ways and adjust and adapt to how other programs are doing it. And he goes, more successful when I do it my way. I'm going back to my way. He's hit the recruiting trail hard, brought in some insanely talented freshmen, and he goes, I'm going to bring these girls in and develop them over 4 years, and that's how my program's going to be.
Did get a chance to watch just a little bit last night that we have two ex-Cardinal women's basketball players, Cardinal greats, that were playing in the WNBA last night. Although I don't think Emily Ixler ever got in the game for Washington. Maisha Hines-Allen was out there and actually hit a three. And I'm thinking to myself, that's Maisha Hines-Allen knocking down that three from the corner. You got to be kidding me.
She has really developed her three-point, her
She
range
really
shooting game in the WNBA. She's done that a lot.
She really has. And part of the idea of them saying, you're not going to be so much a power forward here, Maisha, as you're going to be a wing, and wings shoot the ball from outside. So there's the gym. Here's the keys. Go practice. And she did pretty good with it. Nailed a couple of them. But this freshman class that's going to be on campus here. What do we end up? It was a total of 6. We ended.
6 or I'm looking at 8.
I'm trying to
Players?
Graphic. Maybe
We
6
had-
are transfers.
It's 8 players coming in, but it's the 6th ranked.
Sixth
recruit
ranked.
class.
class.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking
got,
about count of players.
obviously, you've got Randolph in. One I'm really looking forward to. Taj Roberts is one of them.
Mhm.
We got Reagan Bender, local girl out of Sacred Heart, will be in.
Is McKinley Randolph? Is that Zebo's daughter? Is that Zach Randolph's daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Now
We have the daughters of 2 NBA
Yeah.
stars.
I'm
sure do.
Amari.
Yeah.
Amari Berry, yeah.
Obviously, Anaya Harris is coming in, gives us a little height inside, and somebody who can pound in there a little bit. And also, the girl we don't know a whole lot about, the Australian that is coming in here.
Jeffermans.
And Jefferson, Isla Jeffermans.
Yeah.
She's been playing in some pretty top flight competition over there in the land down under, as they like to call it, down there in a kind of a semi-pro league with some really good players and doing quite well from what I've been able to determine, which then again leads me to the question I'll throw it to you guys. How is it that she can kind of play that way over in another country with a lot of good players that are getting paid, although she probably isn't, and then come over and play as a student athlete in college?
Well, I think we're going to see how she recovers from a meniscus tear. Will be the first step.
I did not even see that. When did that happen?
So she tore her meniscus in the preseason. Had knee surgery, so that was in February.
Oh gosh.
So obviously that was before she was signed. So Jeff Walls still thinks that she's going to be able to recover. She's probably going to be redshirting, but you do have Olivia Cochran returning, so that could be a good opportunity for her to learn behind existing bigs on this team. But I think that we can hope to see good play out of a FIBA type player. just like we have with Elif this year, she was able to really translate that to the college basketball game pretty well. Obviously, she wasn't the most effective when she was out on the court, but she was really improving as the season wore on. And so I think that just having that technical ability, um, while Australia is not um, in Europe, obviously they play by FIBA rules in the NBL, and so it'll be good to see uh, how she can translate those abilities, just like Elif. And then the rest of the freshmen, I think, have the ability to step right in and be key contributors, which Louisville's going to need since a lot of key contributors graduated or otherwise departed after this past season.
And I think one of the things that'll help them a little bit too is because obviously with the you get Andy Sosa Infinite coming off her red shirt year. She's 6'5" or 6'6". She looked towering in pregame warm-ups last year, just standing out there. And if I had more than one person mention to me, "Hey, who's that big tall girl there that we're not playing?" I said, "Well, she's a project that we got over here from Africa, and she's going to be good for us, and I think she's going to be very fine in time." Just Wallace decided she needed a year of red shirt. Uh, but she does look pretty impressive, Jared.
Yeah, haven't gotten to see her play at all, but you certainly think that taking a year to redshirt under a coach as tenured as Jeff Walls, you should learn a thing or two or 10 and be ready to go for this upcoming season. As a post player, hopefully she's been able to work with Josie Williams, who was the graduate assistant this past year, as well as Olivia Cochran and Nyla Harris to learn the ropes some and come in and hopefully make an immediate impact next season.
You've also got some additional height in there that's going to help a lot coming in as a freshman is Anaya Hardy, who was basically a walking double-double in her high school days and coming in and also having a chance to shine and play fairly well in the Under Armour Association circuit, which is a very, very good and strong developmental program for college kids. So, although the cupboard right now is kind of bare, I think you could say Jeff Walls is restocking it nicely. And what's the final count? We could have 13 or 14 players on this team by when all is said and done, guys. Is my count right on that?
Yes, but I'm with Case. I think you're going to see a couple of them take a red shirt with the freshmen just because there are going to be so many players coming in and any type of nagging injuries or recoveries that are going on.
You have 7 freshmen incoming. Jared listed 4 returners in the article here on Tuesday, but we've also mentioned Imafidon, and so that makes 12 players already. And that's without looking at the roster to see if there's anybody else we've missed.
And you've got Jalea Williams, who is an actual straight out transfer in coming in from Miami.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of players on the roster. I think that we've yet to see kind of how the actual opening day roster is going to look. Just as we start to add more and more players to the team.
I think it'll be interesting to see though who can come in and maybe gain. And this is way too early to predict that, but I'm saying 4 positions on this starting 5 are fairly wrapped up already. Okay, if we're being logical and looking at it, obviously no one's going to bump Cochran. Marissa Russell in her 5th year, you got to figure he'll have her out there. Jada Curry, a senior who's played some very good basketball for us, and also Nyla Harris, a junior who I love to death. I think her cap is unlimited here. I think she could just continue to get better and better. But who kind of steps in and says, "I'd like to that 5th role"? Are they kind of looking for a guard here, guys? What do you think?
Man, I think the door's wide open. There's so much talent. from some of these players. Yeah, some of them may redshirt if they have some nagging injuries or still recovering. But man, so much talent and so many players that it's like, guys, I could picture just about any of them stepping in there.
It's going to be a fun fall sports media day when basketball has their little deal in the over there in the gym, and they've got the players sitting around in chairs where you can walk up and talk to them. They're going to need name tags because I'm going to walk in there like, who are all these new girls? Good Lord. But looking forward to that happening. Wolves will have, I think, enough returning talent to be able to form a pretty strong impression here. But one thing that we talked about at times this year too, the bench, it's got to be strong and developed. Uh, I think he's got the potential there to have a great bench with all the players we've got. So we will see when you add to the aspect of that, hey, guess what? We're getting some new opponents in the ACC. Women's basketball. How about that? The league expanding and kind of taking a look at what's coming in here. What does that mean for the Cards, basically, as far as teams that coming in that are going to basically give us a tough way to go?
Stanford. bit of a biggie there.
Is Tara still on her way out, right?
Yeah, she and Lisa Bluter both announced their retirements following the end of last season. So,
of course, Tara didn't wait until the portal was closed to announce hers, but it's okay.
Well, and what they named an assistant that had been there for 14 years or whatever. to head. I mean, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Like, what do we?
There's some consistency there. There's some continuity. So it's not. I don't think it's terrible, but yeah, it was like.
It's one of those situations where you're not asking what the new coach's philosophy is going to look like.
Yeah,
right? They're kind of. What are you going to do to replace the most successful coach in college basketball that you were their assistant for so long? I'm probably just going to try and be her. That's probably what I'm going to try and do.
Try more of the same, you know.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say.
If I look down that bench and see Cameron Brink sitting there again, though, I'm going to definitely yell at foul because she's already been there a century.
Well, she didn't really leave, right? So she's still quite close by. After getting drafted by the Sparks.
Yeah, she can go all that far down the coast a bit,
but it's probably the closest team.
Yeah,
be pretty close between that and Seattle, I guess.
And then and I know we've got 3 schools coming in, and I always have trouble remembering the one up in, is it Washington State that we're getting?
No,
you've got Cal, Stanford, and SMU.
Cal.
That's why you can't remember it, because nobody cares about Cal and the other one is SMU, and everybody's like, why SMU?
Oh, it's the team we beat in the Final Four back in 2013.
Absolutely, the one where my favorite college coach was out there for a while. One of my favorite college coaches was out there for a while, and now I can't remember her name. So
one of your favorites at the time, but not all time.
Yeah, back in there, I thought she was all the rage, and thought she was a good one. In fact, I can remember Jeff and I being in the old days of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour down in the basement on the hill, announcing that the part-time studio manager looked like her. You remember that, Jeff?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so, but her name just flies right by me right now.
Is that Lindsay Gottlieb, maybe?
Yeah, Lindsay Gottlieb.
Yeah.
Lindsay Gottlieb.
Jared and I got there at about the same time.
Because she left Cal to go to USC, and then they were a 1 seed in the tournament this past year.
Yeah, certainly a very, very good coach, too. And has a lot going for her.
Yeah, she stole Beth Burns from us.
She sure did, didn't she?
That shows some intelligence then, certainly.
Foresight.
Because poor Beth was having a title change every year to keep her on the roster here. You know, and we knew what she was doing. There wasn't any doubt about that. But anyway, certainly glad that she's doing well. Other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much got us to what we're going to cover here for the show today. Anything before we get into final comments? Anybody got anything else that they want to bring up?
What about some
I'll just
volleyball?
shout out the volleyball schedules out for the fall. So
Ah,
yep,
let's take a look at that then, just brief then. Some of the
yeah,
things that you guys have taken a look at that you like on it.
yeah. I'll jump on this pretty quickly. Start out with a bang. I got Tennessee hosting Tennessee, and I think that's one of the ones at the KFC Yum Center just to open the season. Then travel up to perennial powerhouse Penn State, although they've been a little off the past few years with the new coach. And then the final iteration of the South Dakota, Missouri, Northern Kentucky weekend. That'll be at Northern Kentucky. So, and then the Cardinal Classic's going to have University of Northern Iowa, who we last time we played them, we lost to in Minnesota. So, and then also bringing in Creighton, which is a very good team. So always a very good team. It's good to play. We play Kentucky in Lexington. We'll be back, presumably back in Memorial
Ooh.
Arena, with air conditioning now, though. So that's
and new
nice.
seats.
Yeah, and new seats. Yeah.
And Kenny
Uh,
Brooks right in around the corner watching.
yeah. Yeah. And then we host Nebraska. This is kind of the final round of that contract that we've had with Nebraska, Stanford, and Kentucky. And then we start into ACC play after that with Cal. It's the first one to come to Louisville. Cal and Stanford both come on the same weekend.
What a
I
gauntlet!
believe this. Yeah, I know, right?
In 2 weeks,
think
in 2 weeks, you play Creighton, Kentucky, Nebraska, Cal, Stanford. Why? Why?
it's
Why?
well, that's what they're preparing for postseason play. You
Oh,
know,
yeah, you're gonna
like
see. You're gonna see how the season's gonna end up real quick.
yeah,
Oh,
I think Nebraska and Stanford are both at the KFC Yum Center, if I remember correctly.
You were correct on both of those.
Yeah,
and the Nebraska match is the one that is not yet set in stone.
right. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I did check on that. They're playing on Sunday, not Saturday. That was a typo by somebody within the volleyball program. They're not competing crowds against football.
You should
which would
call
make
up whoever's in charge of gocards.com because they still list
they still list
Saturday
both
or
days.
Sunday.
Yeah. So, Clemson, Georgia Tech comes to town. I think that's another one at the KFC Yum Center. We go to Florida State, and then Miami. Let's see, Wake Forest, NC State, both here. Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, SMU in Dallas. Notre Dame almost back-to-back matches, home and home on Wednesday and then Saturday. So the two of those. First one here, second one up there.
Can we end up
Boston.
drawing Notre Dame as a midweek game again?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think we're kind of travel partners.
That'll be midweek on. That'll be it's a Wednesday night. That'll be in the KFC Yum Center, I assume, just like they did this year, right?
Probably. I think that's one of them. I don't remember for sure.
We
Boston
endeavored to-
College, Syracuse, host Duke, host North Carolina, at Virginia Tech, host Pittsburgh. That one's another KFC Yum Center, and Stanford is at the KFC Yum Center. We host again to end the season.
We're on the road at Stanford. Last game says.
On the road, right? First one's here. Sorry. Yes, that's correct. We host the first one. We're on the road there to end. Sorry, I misread that.
Have fun playing at home on the KFC Yum Center at the KFC Yum Center the day before Thanksgiving, and then dealing with Thanksgiving travel to get to Stanford, California, to play on Saturday. Brutal.
Yep.
I think you go ahead and just pay the money for a private jet on that one.
Yeah, that one may be a charter. I don't know.
We'll try to get that up on the right-hand side of the site of Cardinal Couple. I didn't even realize it was out yet. So
yeah, it came out this week. Yep.
I will be posting that over there later on this week, so you can take a look at that schedule in depth. And we have kind of
a quick run through.
Yeah, a quick detailed run through by Jeff there. Yeah. So we appreciate that, and so we're looking forward to that as it comes up later on. We'll go ahead and roll into final thoughts then. And Jared, I'll go ahead and let you go first on them.
Yeah, I think for the month of May, it's been a pretty solid economy boost for Louisville with the Kentucky Derby and the PGA Championships. Unfortunately, some events yesterday at Valhalla led to putting the city in a not so great spotlight, and it sounds like Louisville may no longer be a host for future PGA events, unfortunately.
So that might be a bit of a.
There were some other things leading up to that Louisville may not have been a host in the future,
So
anyways.
you can only host the PGA. A club can only host the PGA Championship 4 times. This is Valhalla's 4th host of the PGA Championship. So it was going to be
I thought it was Valhalla's
unable to
third.
host. It was going to be unable to host the PGA Championship again anyway, and people had been talking about whether they would change events to have another PGA event here. And now that might not be quite so likely.
Yeah.
Ew.
Kind of sad with that, all that detailed out, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Case, what you got for me on final thoughts?
Yeah, close the loop on talking about the track and field. Last week we talked about Jaden Ulrich defending her title in the shot put and going for a double in the ACC championships. She did complete that double, won the gold medal in discus. So it is one of those 18 individuals that will go to the NCAA regionals to represent the Cards.
East region.
Yep. In Lexington next weekend. So that'll be exciting for her, and we're hoping for the best for her and look to see another Louisville track and field national champion, which would be the first since did Leon win a championship?
Oh gosh.
Or would it be Emily Scott in the high jump?
Emily Scott in the high jump would have been the most recent, I think. Yeah. But yeah, Leon might have. I don't know. I don't remember now for sure.
But we'll look to be the newest national champion for Louisville, and could potentially do it in 2 events. So that'd be really cool.
Good stuff then. Jeff, what you got for me on final thoughts?
I'm gonna shout out Thursday for Claire Chaussee, former volleyball great here. Had a really great day. First of all, it was her birthday, so happy birthday to Claire. Also, they came out with in the Professional Volleyball Federation League, the all league teams, and she was named to the first team for the PVF All League. And then they played that evening the semifinals of the league tournament, and her Grand Rapids Rise beat upset Atlanta Vibe to win the semifinals. They will be playing for the championship and a $1 million bonus tonight. So
Wow.
Claire had a really great match. She finished off. She had scored the final point in the match. Had a great match, 5-set match. Both semifinals went 5 sets. It was really really exciting. So Thursday was quite a day for her.
Good day for double C's out there, and we're
Yeah.
very happy for her. For me, it's just a kind of. I'm very, very happy to be able to get out and start doing player interviews again. There was a period of time where I could not do that, and it kind of had me. I'm not going to say totally depressed, but kind of saddened that I couldn't actually. I had the stamina or the power to stand there for 10 or 15 minutes and talk with the player and get their views on things and stuff like that. So I'm happy about that and happy to be doing it again, and certainly look forward to bringing many more of those. And a special thanks to Jared, who obviously is the cameraman for all these and gets his own questions in as well. I think we've had some fun with these, and we look forward, I know, to bringing you many more. So full speed ahead, as they say in the Navy. Let's get it done. I'd like to thank everybody for listening today to the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. And although it looks like we probably won't be with you next week, we'll have an official announcement on that later in the week. Until then, everybody have a great time, and certainly be nice to your neighbor, because you never know. It might be someday that they're nice to you. Take care, everybody.